Eben and Ephraim Dorsey. It is so good to see you guys again. We were together last year in the middle of the pandemic. Actually, it was around this time last year. And I want to start off by asking you both, what has been the last 12 months like for you?
Well, thankfully, Ephraim and I are fully vaccinated, and as the guidelines started lifting, a lot of the jam sessions started coming back within the guidelines. So luckily, we've been able to play again, play with our friends and things like that. So yeah, it's been pretty fun, I'd say.
Yeah. So what has creativity looked like for you?
Doing a lot of listening and trying out new things based on what I'm listening. So like in my composition style, like I've been looking into producing and things like that. Just like looking outside the box from what I've been used to, just like playing the horn. I've just been trying out new things.
Yeah. And what about you, Ephraim?
For me, really it's just me going to the piano and just finding something and trying to resonate with an idea. Or sometimes I may find an idea while I'm dreaming, and then I wake up and I have to go and record it before the idea gets lost. And the process after that is I record that on a program called Logic, and I record all of the parts and stuff, and if I can, I like to ask my other friends to record over it so that I can have something that sounds a little more authentic.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that you say you go to the piano. And how has going to the piano helped your music?
It's helped because it's one thing to be able to hear the thought process and the compositions in your head, but if you can't really lay that out on piano, it's really hard to be able to communicate that to other people. It's like a nice way for you to be able to just play your idea and be able to hear what it actually sounds like.
You know, it's refreshing to hear you talk like that because it's really beginning to demonstrate your growth and development. And I think that's going to go a long way with with your future views, particularly if you're looking at going with music in your future as a vocation. Even, I've been listening to your playing a lot, and I'm noticing this really strong, just lyrical presence. And I want you to tell me, where is that coming from?
It's kind of a funny story. I remember talking to my good friend, his name is Ephraim and Ebban, he plays drums, and we played at Keystone a lot for like a couple months. We did a show and then a jam session like every Tuesday. And me and Ephraim were both like spiritual, and we always say our prayers before we play and all that kind of stuff. But like, I remember him telling us, he's like, we never like really said our prayers like as a group before we played. We always, just like said it to ourselves. And he was like, next time we do that, we should try that. And so I remember when we first went to the jam session, like after COVID, we're in COVID, and I was just kind of struggling to express myself, and it was like my fingers were cold and all this stuff that wasn't really a problem before. It was like, okay, I need to, get back into not having a barrier between me and my horn. So I would like say a prayer on the way to anytime I'm about to play, say a prayer, hoping that I touch at least one person with my playing, and that all my ideas up here, they come right through. There's no issue. And I noticed, the next time we came back to Terra, it was just like a whole different story. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but that same session, all of our friends came out, and I noticed that like all of us kind of were just in the zone. If that's the best way I can describe it. But
Yeah.
It was just something else was there, and everybody felt it. And I realize now that I should have done that a long time ago, but I'm really happy with my playing now. Like, I feel like everything I play is authentic, and I'm gonna keep growing, of course. But like, I'm really happy with what I've come up with.
I'm really, really happy with the space that you're in right now. And like I said, like I told your brother, your growth and development has been amazing. I really follow you anytime that your mom posts videos, or
Thank you.
if I see you somewhere playing, I'm just so impressed. And I know you guys gotta go, but I want to ask you. So where are we sitting right now?
We're sitting in our teachers, our very first teacher, actually.
And who is your very first teacher?
He is the Carl Grubbs, the Carl Grubbs.
The Carl Grubbs, right? And what influence has Carl Grubbs have on you?
Aside from the fact that he taught me to not really blame, outside forces for when I'm struggling. For instance, when I was playing the saxophone, we had both a private lesson, and I was struggling. This was when we were first starting.
How old were you at the time?
Maybe like 11?
11.
10, 11.
I told him, there's something wrong with my horn. So he tells me to take the mouthpiece off. So I take it off and I give him the horn, and he puts his mouthpiece on, and he plays through the horn like I've never heard a horn player play before. That was like my first experience hearing something like that. And he's just ripping through the horn. He's going up and down, altissimo notes to the overtones, and then he hands it back to me, and he's like, well, it's not the horn. And that was a very special moment, and it was very humbling for me at the same time. But aside from that, we learned all the technical stuff from him, like the music theory and all of that, but he was very focused on the emotional aspect, the blues, and making sure that you feel what you're doing, because without that, you might as well not play the music.
Yeah.
And I remember his phrase was, if you want to start learning this music, you got to learn the blues. If you don't know the blues, don't bother playing jazz.
Incredible. What about you, Ebban?
Yeah, I would, he pretty much said it all, but like one thing I'll take with me is like how real and how authentic he is. Like he keeps it straight up. Like he was saying, I don't know, man, like there's so much that we learn every time just being in his presence, and then playing with him and like listening to his compositions. And we've been listening to his music for so long. Like we have a bunch of CDs and stuff like that, and it's just like looking back at the videos from when we first started, you can see how much we've learned from him. Like you can hear it.
Yes.
And going back and listening to them is like really humbling too, because when you're little, people will hype you up and say like, "Oh, you sound really good for your age," and I'm listening back and I'm like, okay, somebody was lying. But like we've learned so much, and I'm very grateful and very thankful for everything that he's done.
Yeah. Finally, I want to get into a topic that for me is very, very frustrating. I don't know what it's like for you. But there are some critics who say that, young teenagers your age should be moved along slowly and probably not perform at maybe at larger venues and things like that. And I want you to tell me in your own words what you think about that.
Well, I just want to start off by saying, if you go into a certain mindset and saying that a specific group of people shouldn't be doing this, it's, no matter how you try to put it, it's very unnatural. Because, of course, there are going to be some young musicians who need time to grow and get their stuff together a little bit more before they go on the big stage. But you have to look that there are many instances of musicians that we look up to now that started doing that stuff at younger ages, like 15 and 18. For instance, a really good drummer by the name of Ronald Bruner, as soon as he got out of high school, he started touring with Kenny Garrett. Now imagine if we had this mindset and said that he wasn't allowed to do that because he needed to take time to get whatever together. That would have held him back. And this mindset is really holding back a lot of younger musicians that could really grow from having experiences like that.
Right. And what are your thoughts about that, even?
I just kind of see it as a little ignorant. As somebody who's young and has been like pushed into these opportunities, into the big stages and things like that, I can say that it's only been helpful and it hasn't harmed us or anybody in any way. And so I feel like we should encourage that more, just like pushing younger people into that so that they're used to it and they grow. I don't understand how you can not want that for the younger generation, especially for, people who play jazz. A lot of people say that, we need the younger generation to revive it, but you can't really say that and then stop us from these big opportunities just because we're too young.
Right.
It just doesn't really add up, and I think that if we're given the chances, we should be, allowed to embrace it fully, and, we can take the criticism, after we play, things like that, but I think the opportunities are only helpful, so they shouldn't be pushed away.
History has told us that, to the contrary, to those who speak about the limitations that should be put on young people, history has shown us that, like someone like Mary Lou Williams, she was a teenager when she went with Andy Kirk. Right. Tony Williams was a teenager when he toured with Miles Davis. And as I mentioned before, a great trumpeter like Christian Scott, he was 15 when he went on the road with Donald Harrison. So I'm looking for some great things from you guys, and stay in faith, and keep learning. And I want to say thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.